Hey everybody, it's Charlie Craven. I'm going to show you a really cool trick that I learned from the Frugal Fly Rodder YouTube channel about how to airbrush a white foam popperhead using just a can of compressed air and some Sharpie or other permanent markers. This is pretty slick. It's a much less expensive way to do it than the commercially available airbrushes, and we can make some pretty cool looking poppers with really nice airbrushed paint jobs. So what we're going to do here is this is a Flyman Fishing Company double barrel popperhead, and it's just plain white obviously, and I've stuck it on my bodkin, and I've used some special fly tying tape that is available only in fly tying stores here to tape that bodkin to the C-clamp on my vise, and that's just so that it's down here where you can see what I'm doing. Probably the easiest way to do this would be to slide this onto the hook you're going to tie on and then put it up in the jaws of your vise. Now, one thing that you want to do is make sure that you put a background sheet down, because you're going to spray. You can see I've practiced a little bit here, and you're going to spray some ink and make a bit of a mess. So you want to make sure that you've got something over your tying surface so you don't get it everywhere. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this popperhead and I'm going to turn it upside down. I always want to start with the belly color. And in the case of this bug, let's do this. Let's do this one yellow. So the trick to this is I want to take the tip of the air can and put it just behind the tip of the marker. And what I'll do is I always take a couple of test sprays, and that'll kind of tell you how fast the ink is coming out and how much ink is in the tip of the marker. So I get a couple of test sprays so you can kind of gauge how much is coming out. And then I'll back off from the head a bit, and just using short blasts, I'm going to color the bottom side of that popperhead. And it does take a little playing with, a little getting used to. I find myself, I get the tip of the air can not lined up with the marker quite right, so sometimes you're just blowing air on it, but after a little bit of practice, you can see how you can start to get a nice clean job done there. So I'm going to cap up that yellow, and I'm going to turn the fly, use my bodkin to turn the fly so that I can get down inside the eye socket so I'm not sticking my fingers in that wet ink. And we're going to add, let's add a little bit of orange here to the sides of this fly. So I'm going to take an orange marker, and again, same thing, kind of a little test spray. And with the side colors, I want to bleed this a little more up along the top. And I'll spin that around and get the other side up here. And you can see how layering those colors gives us a nice blend between the orange and the yellow from the belly to the sides. Now to finish this off, I'm going to turn this all the way over, right side up, and we'll use a brown marker here on top. So I'm going to take, this is a copper colored Copic marker, and again I'll take a couple of kind of practice sprays, and these Copic markers have a little bit longer tip, so I want to back off just a bit. And you can see how the duration of your air blast will determine how heavily the ink goes on. And you can darken it up toward the front or lighten it up toward the back just by gauging that distance a little bit. So there's our airbrushed popperhead. And let's add maybe just a touch of of a pattern to this one. I'll show you how I did that. So I've got a sheet of mesh here. Let's use this one. And these were sold by Hairline years ago. I'm not sure if they even still sell them, but they're just pieces of mesh material. I'm sure you could find something like this in a hardware store or perhaps a fabric store. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to take another piece of that special fly tying tape, and I'm going to tape that sheet right down over the top of the bug and sort of cup it around the head. And I want it to fit up in there tight, like so. You can see how it's just buckled around. I'm going to take my black marker and spray down through the mesh to pattern the top of that bug. And you can kind of look through the mesh and see what you're doing inside there, but you do have to have just an element of trust to believe that it's happening. And I give it just a minute to dry, just a second or two really, and then I can peel that mesh up and you can see we've got a really cool pattern sprayed onto the top of that bug. You can see how that black is sort of faded along the edges. We've still got that yellow belly. Now one final thing that you can do, I'll lift this up and take him out of my special tape, is if you've got any, let's see if I can get this here where you can see it, the front edge of that eye socket is not quite sprayed. So I'll take that yellow marker and just come in and color that in. You can kind of pick up any missed spots with your lightest color fairly easily. And then on a fly like this, what I'll do, get this where you can see it here, is I'll just come around and color the edge of the lip. I usually leave the face of the bug plain white so that I can see the fly on the water a little bit easier. A lot of times I'll fish a poppin' bug in the evening, and anything that makes it a little easier to keep track of certainly doesn't hurt. So you can see I've just colored around the bottom 3/4 there with that yellow marker, and then I'll take that copper marker just to match things up, and I'll use it along the top. Now you can leave a real stark clean edge there like that. Makes no difference, but if you'd like, you can actually fade those colors together a bit by using that lighter marker and sort of bleeding them so that you've got even distribution. Cap that marker up, and there's our homemade airbrushed popper head. A million colors. You probably got a bunch of Sharpies sitting on your desk right now. Very easy to do, takes a little bit of practice. It's really fun, I have to say that. Quick and easy too, so you don't need a big expensive airbrush outfit to tie up a few poppers. You can have a little bit of fun just with some stuff that you've got laying around the house. So give that a shot, see what you think. Thanks for watching.